Good industrial designers make a thing look good, and great industrial designers build a relationship between an object and its user. What's up, designers? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jimmy, and today I have an incredible portfolio to show you guys. It's from Juan Jung. He's a Korean industrial designer located in Shenzhen, China, and this is one of my favorite portfolios. This is one that I always end up referencing myself when I want to take a look at something that's incredibly inspiring. So he's done a lot of work on cameras, specifically DJI and Hasselblad gimbals, actual cameras themselves, fun, interesting cameras like the Osmo. I have this camera actually. A couple of drones, which this is the one that I'm going to be covering for you guys. There's a lot of projects on this, and I'm not going to go ahead and take a look at all of them, but the links will be down below so that you guys can go ahead and take your own time to check out these projects. Let's go ahead and take a look at this drone because, geez, look at this. Look at this thumbnail. It's just so freaking cool, isn't it? It's like a spaceship, but then it's also a small product. It's cute, but then it's also super badass. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's jump right into it. So what I'm going to do is take a look at how he structures his portfolio, the things that he ends up showing in it, and we'll just kind of go from there. You can take some pointers, you can take some notes to end up applying some of these techniques to your own portfolio, okay? So immediately, this is going to be a website type of portfolio, not on Behance or not a PDF. So his name is going to be up at the top, always going to be present, which is pretty cool. You could always just link the work to the designer. Immediately, right away, he starts off with a hero shot, a really super moody, dark hero shot of the drone, front hero 3/4 in this very mysterious background. All of these things going on below, kicking up all the dirt in the sand with all of the propellers going. The drone is in motion. It's at a really cool dynamic angle, and so this is just an incredibly impactful shot to really start off your portfolio and have the viewer continue wanting to see more. The lighting hitting it, casting the shadow around the perimeter of the render, everything just looks super, super cool. I would would love to see this image right here, just incredibly high resolution, but I could tell it's definitely been compressed quite a bit. Some of the description of the product, the client, what year it was made, he himself the designer, as well as some of the disciplines that were involved with this project. Then after that, the third slide here, it looks like it's a video, so I'm not going to play that video, but if you want to check it out yourself, you could definitely do so. Copyright reasons, you guys know how it is. But I think what these videos do is they really do a great job telling the story and what this product is, what it's for, and the emotions and the user and all of that good stuff. So immediately what you want to do is tell the viewer what this product is. That's like the number one goal of your portfolio, and he does a great job doing so using very dynamic, cool renders, as well as a description through words and text, and then of course videos. And then it immediately jumps into the final solution. These are some studio shot renders, which is what I call them. They're white backgrounds or off-white or a gray background of some sort with just either prototype shots of photographs of your actual product or rendering. So this here is going to be more of a top type of view with a slight tilt to it, and you could see all the different propellers. You could see the dynamic shape of this X shape of the product itself. You can see all the details, all the different materials. So let's go ahead and just take some time to really dive into this render. This is stuff that I really love to just, spend my time looking at. So immediately we have a lot of things going on. Obviously we have some of this injection molded plastic that's formed in a beautiful form, this beautiful shape. It's broken up into a couple different part lines. It's a matte, rough type of a material. We can see it has a lot of grain to it. There's a lot of noise as well. And if we zoom into some of the propellers here, we can just see the details in it. The red ring that he's used throughout his the touches of the CMF at the tips of the propellers just looks incredibly cool. It's not overdone, I believe, and it's used in certain places where it just looks very nice and very tasteful. We can see those red rings don't carry across all of the propellers, which is pretty interesting. Maybe these two are trying to indicate that these are the two special propellers and these ones are the more regular propellers. The exposed screw, which which are, you know, always really cool. It definitely brings into that rugged type of a feeling versus a smooth finished type of a look. You know, having these exposed screws and these exposed mechanics are always super cool. We can see the heat sink that sits in the rear here. Just everything is just designed. This heat sink could have easily looked bad. You know, it could easily just look like another heat sink that was taken off from somewhere, but they spent the time to really design this heat sink. We can see the flow, see the form of it, and it just looks really nice. And we could see the FPV graphics on the left and the right here. So just an incredible render right here. I just love this so much. And then so we have that studio shot, but as we continue on, there's going to be in-use shots of the drone itself. So this is going to be, I wouldn't really say it's a scenario that I'll actually be in. Most likely you won't be flying this drone indoors. It'll probably be outdoors, but this is just a really cool like marketing shot of it being inside of some sort of a Star Wars type of a background with some cool, you know, horizontal lights. Like just everything looks very futuristic with this steel floor, of dark left and right walls, and then these horizontal light bars that run across showing depth, which is also pretty sweet. You know, the floor is looks like it's going fast and it's in motion, but then the ceiling and all the lights and even this wall, this kind of jutting out wall here, doesn't quite look like it's going fast. You know, this thing is going fast, you could tell by the floor, but then up here it doesn't look like it's going faster. Just a little, you know, interesting thing to kind of call out, but I just love this so much. With the dark background, you could see the red lights just glowing through. It just, everything is just so sweet. We could see that red glow just casting underneath the different parts of the drone here. We can see all the different materials, the more translucent milky clear part, you know, in the front of the drone showing off the camera. Everything has to do with flight. And then this here is going to be more of an outdoor shot. So this is probably most likely where this drone is going to be actually used on a day-to-day basis. So these shots here are extremely cool to just telling the story, showing the lifestyle, showing the product in an environment that you would normally see it used on a daily basis. So these images are extremely impactful. They're super cool and something that you definitely should add into your portfolio. Oh, this is an interesting thing right here. I didn't never actually notice this before, but I can see this part here. You could see there's like a hard line here, probably some photoshopping going on, which is slightly misaligned. Little details. This portfolio is super cool. It's super nice. I've looked at it so many times, and so but there's always something I think to kind of talk about and call out with every single portfolio. Multiple copies of it, so one more in the foreground and more in the background. Jumping into some more studio shots. This is a front 3/4 right hero shot right here. And it looks to be more straight on because these rear propellers are actually higher than the two front ones, which is an actual design feature of this FPV drone. Now that we see a little bit more of the side, we can see some more of those exposed screws, which are always super awesome to look at. Again, showing that ruggedness, showing that, you know, activeness of a product. And GoPro camera, when they show those exposed screws, you know, just something about exposed screws shows like performance and ruggedness. The lighting's casting from this top part here. All of the different parts are really emphasized, showing off the form very well. The materials are incredible. We can see again that black matte material. We can see it carry through mostly for the injection molded plastic parts. We can see this dark square, which is the battery that inserts in the rear here. And everything just looks very aerodynamic, which is obviously the main point of these drones, trying to get them as aerodynamic as possible, allowing battery life to be extended as much as possible. And then we jump into more of a front view type of a tilt down shot, showing off more of the camera. And this render actually looks to be less noisy and less grainy than the other earlier ones that we saw. So these studio shots are certainly more clean and more clear. I really love these lights that just sit right in front of these little legs where the drone sits on. Everything just has such a nice form and a nice flow to it. All the surface just blends so smoothly together. So the logo placement, branding placement down below at the bottom from the front view. Another type of an outdoor environmental hero shot, now actually with the user in it. So it looks like a female and a male, and the male's using it, and in some sort of a outer space kind of planetary environment with some liquid floor, with the drone flying through. I think it's just trying to really exaggerate the idea that this is an adventurous type of product. You're using it outdoors, and you could go to really cool places to get awesome shots and have a good time. Even though it seems like these people actually don't look like they're having a really good time. They seem very stiff, which is, I don't know, maybe it's just the mood that he's trying to go for. I love how everything is turned at a diagonal. Like, this could have been a pretty straight on. These people could have been, vertical, but they're actually tilted at an angle, indirectly showing that it could be flying at an angle and tilting and all that cool stuff. So when you're doing your environmental shots, don't always maybe think that this environmental shot has to be a straight on, perfectly leveled camera. It could be at a slight angle, and that could also add a lot of dynamic into your renders, into these shots. Some of these other products that are accessories that go along with this project. So we can see this guy here, he's using the headset, the headgear, to really see through this camera here. And so that's actually a special features with these FPV drones, is that you can see through the camera lens by using this goggle type of a headset. And this is going to be a photograph using it outdoors. We can see a case that it could potentially be living in, and the couple different products like the goggles and the controller itself. It's interesting how this controller is using a one-handed controller, whereas this one here is using a two-handed controller. So either one, that's a mistake, or two, it's telling me that you can consider using multiple different type of controllers with this product. If that's the case, I would also like to see maybe that single-handed controller be just laying here as well, or something like that. Also, it's interesting, we could see that there are different design languages going on with these three different products, which indicates to me that maybe these other two products are used for other lines of FPV drones. And so they, instead of just redesigning a whole new set of goggles or a whole new set of controllers specifically for every drone that they end up making, they probably just reprogram each one of these products to use for any new drone release that they end up coming out with, which makes sense. But this, like I was trying to say, is that this design language on this goggle here looks, similar and yet also different than what's going on with the drones. Just the different shapes of it just doesn't look about the same, but it also looks similar. Colors and materials look about on par. Pattern, I haven't seen this grid circle pattern on the drone, but this controller definitely is not the same type of a design language. It's also very smooth. The color is definitely way different than these other ones. And so, maybe this controller is just for another product. Very cool shot showing the whole set. This is something that I also recommend, is that, products, they don't just live on their own. Usually they come with other things as well. It's the whole family line in a single shot. It could be a render shot, but he's decided here to take a photo of everything. So if you have a prototype of it, or if you have the actual product, some of these projects that you guys are working on as students, you're not going to have the actual product, and so you got to just almost fake it with renders. So now we go back to some of the hero shots of it, just showing off this product, showing what it is. Here below we have the DJI logo again. And this is similar to that other front view shot, but now it's showing more of the underside of it, showing the two sensors on the left and the right there. Stuff like this is very mechanical, and he's decided to really take his time to design all of this. I love this part line that just runs across, accentuating the form, showing the bulbousness of this part that sticks out and really allows the drone to set in its own nice little feet there. And then we see this aluminum cylindrical shape that's extruded up, has a chamfer, slot cuts throughout each of the edges there, and so it just makes it look very cool, very dynamic. Zoom up into the details, see all the different design details, see all the things that the designer did. And when I'm designing my own products, I like to just think back about what they did, and see if I can apply some of that logic, some of that thinking into my own. And boom, here is the thumbnail. I can see why he selected this thumbnail because it's definitely one of the better ones. This is a rear angle, top down kind of a shot. A hero shot. We can see all the things going on. I just love this form right here. We can just see this whole form going on right here. All of it is very round and very what I call the inflated kind of form, where it looks like it's just blown up into a balloon, because normally when you create stuff like this, it just looks very straight, very extruded, but there's a subtle curve to almost everything. Even these side walls here, there's a curve to it. I'm sure that has to do with aerodynamic reasons, but when you do have curves and soft forms, usually what happens is everything looks kind of blobby. And so what he's decided to do was every once in a while have a subtle hard line. So we can see all these edges here. There's a chamfer, there's a hard line. It's not extremely hard, but it's definitely there. We can see that how the lighting hits it. It looks darker on this chamfer here. And then we could also see another hard line that runs across this part here, really accentuating this rounded radius. And then it separates that body from this lower body here, which is also extremely round, the whole body. And when we take a look at the whole kind of perimeter of this thing, we can just see it's its own kind of full unit. All the forms are connected very well together. This form here, which is more of this stadium shape, pill shape form that's expanded outwards in a curved way, eventually meets up with the cylindrical shape that is more vertical than horizontal compared to the orientation of the pill shape, the stadium shape. And the difference between those two, I always kind of use them interchangeably. The pill shape is, if you look at it, it's kind of like a old-fashioned, red and white pill. But the difference between a pill shape and a stadium shape is that a pill is more of a 3D kind of a shape. So this white part here that sits inside is more of a pill shape, whereas this outside part is a stadium shape. Because if you think about a track, like a track and field track, a stadium, they have the straight walls and the curved sides, so that's more of a 2D type of a thing. So he actually uses both techniques here. So the pill shape, or what the specific wording of that is actually a capsule, and then also the stadium shape. And then we can see that this form here, this whole leg of the drone where it allows it to sit on, we can just see it just smoothly blends from the main body part all the way out here. I just, stuff like that with this fillet here, everything looks like it's blending really nicely, but then at the same time, you can tell clearly that this leg part is its own part, but it also smoothly blends nicely, and we could see a screw hole that sits right there, right underneath that whole main body. And then we could see the different textures or the different material changes from this more plasticky, rough type of a material, and then this rubber type of part, and it probably makes sense just because this is the part that actually touches and meets the ground, and so you probably want that part to be more soft and rubber. We could see that continue on here with the battery that's inserted in the rear. So I'm sure that this part here sits on the ground, and this rear part also sits on the ground, and that's why we have more of this rubber kind of part, which I love how it's done. It's curvy, it's organic, it's tasteful. The form of it fits the battery really well. It curves, it's not very chunky. These are little tiny details where just like really advanced designers really take their time to spend designing this little tiny feet that sits right here, wraps around this filleted edge. This is just extremely next level type of stuff, guys. Okay, so then we have a side view shot here, continuing on with more studio shots. Beautiful shot right here. I love this. This is also one of my favorite renders. This is definitely the favorite one. I could definitely tell why he picked this one to be the thumbnail, but this one is also extremely cool. We can see this form here that continues on, this kind of air vent that lives right in the middle center of the body. We can see that chamfer, that lofted cut that sits right into the middle here, showing the different like dynamic dark spots, and how it's more light right here. And then this center part is the cavity where airflow can go in or out. And then we could see that this form here is actually translated into this separate part here, this more black plastic part. So just those continuing lines, even though they're separate parts, we can see this idea, this design idea just continuing across different parts, which adds to the continuance of the product And then we can also see, of course, the exposed screws, which is what I love. And I think that this drone actually would look super dope if everything was just black. Like imagine everything was blacked out. That'd be super cool actually, because there's a lot of colors, variations of colors going on. We have this kind of whiter gray, and then we have this more bluish gray here, and then we have a black, and then we have this dark kind of cloudy plastic that sits in the middle here. We have some silver finish on the outsides. I think this thing would look super cool if there was like a blackout version with some high gloss parts. Okay, now very interesting how he ends up jumping into and is organizing his portfolio. So we see a lot of what the product is, some of the marketing images, some of the in-use shots, what it's for, what the product is all about, all the studio shots showing off the industrial design of the product. Then only later, towards more the middle of the portfolio, he's jumping into the development. So a lot of the times what I do and what I've seen other people do is they start off with the intro, they have a couple research pages, the issue, the sketches, the ideation, the CAD development, the mock-ups, but he ends up showing off the portfolio and what the product is, in the first 1/3 of his portfolio, and then it's only later does he jump into the actual development. So this here is going to be an image of a couple of sketches that he's done, so it looks like he uses actually a black Prisma pencil to do his sketches. Everything is very fast, almost automobile-like, and very rough. These are the type of sketches that I like to see, because it's really just allowing the designer to discover the form. These aren't pretty sketches. Like if you look at them, like that one right here, it's not a pretty sketch, but that's perfectly fine. I feel like a lot of new students, they always feel like they need to draw these beautiful kind of like all the lines need to be crispy and sharp, and it needs to be nice. But at the end of the day, guys, professionals can just tell that you kind of redrew your ideation drawings, because when you're ideating, you don't sketch like that, and even if you do, you're not free almost in a way. You're not allowing yourself to just scribble a little bit, and maybe that's not the right line, and so you kind of scribble and redraw lines over and over, just like this one. Like look at that, how many times he had to redraw this line right here. It looks like definitely more than 5 times. All these lines here, we could tell he's redrawn this line right here like at least 5 times. And so these are very free drawings. It's really just to help us discover what this product is going to be, what's it going to look like. And so it looks like he's tried a couple different shapes. It looks like he's already had the shape kind of set out. Maybe the engineers have already set an overall generic form, and he's just trying to figure out certain kind of details. So I think that these 2 red lines here are indicating that this is the one that he wants to go with here. And then we could see that how he ends up presenting this drawing is he has a bunch of different of these pages just laid out overlapping each other. Like the brightness has been increased a lot. And then right here, I like that how he's sneaking through a stack of paper. Maybe he's actually drawn on all of these, so it just shows that ideation. And then after that, once he kind of has that sketching down, it's just a single page of sketches just to show that it's there. I'm sure he has a lot more than that. But then it goes into more of the simulation of what's going on in the computer and all the different aerodynamic shapes and forms that allow it to be more drag coefficient. So it's just a very simple way to present it. It looks like just screenshots from the CAD program, and I see a little bit of a kink there. These are the things that I really like to call out. This is what I'm talking about here. Just a little bit of a kink, that everything wasn't quite precisely aligned. And these are screenshots that were just quickly thrown into a grid pattern. We can see some more here. I like this here where it just shows the 2 variations of the things that they tried. So this top one here doesn't have that little tail end, which is what I see actually on a lot of airplanes. And when you add that in, it looks like it reduces the drag coefficient quite a bit from 2.8 down to 1.58. So that's pretty cool. And then always just seeing these things, seeing all the screenshots in the drag coefficient allows me to think, as an employer, if I were to hire someone like this, that he does his work, that he does his homework, continuing to go through this iterative process to make it better and better. And now to actual physical testing. So this looks like a wind tunnel here, and not quite sure what he's doing right here with the screwdriver. That's a very interesting way to hold a screwdriver here, but it looks like they're testing it out with the wind tunnel here. And then how he presents it is he decides to have this grid layout, so a vertical image, horizontal image laid out left and right of each other. Both of them are black and white. So maybe he decided maybe it was a little bit too much and it just looks a lot better with the saturation being pulled straight down. So, just an interesting technique there. And it's really, I guess, just to show what's actually going on rather than being overwhelmed by all the different colors, showing off the iterations and all the different shapes and all the different ideas that they've ended up going through, refining, 3D printing, creating models and prototypes. He lined it all in this kind of straight line on this huge, really clear white table, and then with the more finished part in the more foreground, everything, it has an extreme depth of field to it. Some more rough prototypes. Maybe I probably would have switched these two images. This one seems a lot more rough, a more of a 3D print. This one has a lot of notes on it, so it just seems more of an earlier type of an image rather than this one here where it looks to be a lot more finished. These prototypes look to be a lot more refined than this 3D print right here, but maybe that's actually not the case. But I probably would actually move this shot here lower. And then we see some more 3D prints. These ones look a lot smaller. The scale of them look a lot smaller, like maybe they did a smaller scale 3D print of these, just trying to figure out the different shapes and iterations. It's really cool to see all of these things. These are the things that you do in the real world as a student. You don't really quite need to do them just because that this project is just showing off your skills, putting your skills into practice, but there's no schedule or timeline or real money involved or manufacturing and marketing involved. So you don't really go through all of these iterations, and you only have a couple weeks to try to perform all of these projects, and so you don't go through the iterations. But when you're a real life industrial designer working on these projects, you certainly go through these phases of iterations to keep refining it and improve upon it. This one here shows a video of the drone and its feature being able to flip over. A lot of situations drones end up getting flipped upside down in many cases, and so the ability to have this drone flip itself back over is really cool. I'm not going to go ahead and play that, but go ahead and check out this portfolio on your own time. So here's going to be a cool shot, I call this a close-up shot, and you could either do this with a render or you could do it with just a photo of it if you have a really nice prototype. Also, one thing I wanted to mention too was he only had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he had 7 shots of the development process, going through sketch to computer simulations to physical kind of prototyping and testing, to more prototype and testing images, 3D prints, 3D print images. That's a very interesting technique to take, throwing into the center of your portfolio. And I actually kind of like that idea of throwing in development shots into the middle. That's definitely a pointer that I'm going to be taking when I'm creating my own portfolios. And then so next we move on to some of the mechanical features, it looks like. So this is the heat sink with some screws. Looks extremely cool, extremely beautiful, showing off the functions of it, because I'm sure this thing gets really hot. And then we show it being opened up, some of the shell being removed. And this here looks like he's saying that he took the last 1% to really take his time to design the FPCB, the PCB, and some of the cables as well. And then here's going to be an exploded view, so thrown towards more of the end of the portfolio. But if you can put together a exploded view, it shows how all the parts come together. It shows the internals of it, and as a student, if you have these exploded views, it shows that you have an understanding of how things come together. That's an important thing to show potential employers. Maybe I would probably add a white background to this one so that it's more in line with the other ones. Here's going to be a high depth of field shot showing the FPV, showing off oh, this is the orange light now. That's pretty cool. I like the orange light. And then showing the two people again, so the girl and the boy, and they're using their drone in this kind of crazy Mars-like environment. Some body of water there with some rocks in the background. The drone flying through the air. Everything seems to have a tilt to it as well, similar to that earlier one that we looked at. So adding in that kind of dynamicness of it. So pretty cool going on there. and a video. I'm not going to go ahead and play that, another video, and that pretty much concludes this project. So what did you guys think of this portfolio? Did you like it? I just love this project so much. It has so much cool kind of things going on with the actual idea of the product itself, all the different cool renders that it has going on, the development, the sketches, just the studio shots, the exploded views, the aerodynamic testing of it. It's just an extremely cool project, extremely cool presentation, and I just love this portfolio so much. So definitely leave comments below what you think of this project. I'm sure he's going to be watching this video, so definitely leave comments down below and telling him how awesome it actually is, and the things that you can take away from it and apply it to your own portfolio. If you guys like this video, definitely go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It would really help me out for this YouTube channel. Also, leave a comment down below if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about. And then if you haven't yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more videos like these. Alright, my name is Jimmy Design, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.